Rhythmic, vaguely about a falcon looking for its nest. Metaphor? Absolutely. Drek wanders over to Ona. You tense up. She pretends not to see him. He clears his throat. He mutters, found this. He holds out a rock. Not just any rock. Shiny, round, smooth as water. A perfect river stone. You blink. That's a top-tier gift. Ona takes it, inspects it, nods once. It's fine. Drek grins. Progress. Across the fire, another pair is whispering. The girl giggles. The boy trips over a root. Classic. You remember your first attempt at flirting? You tried to carve a bird into bark. It looked like a potato. She thought it was an actual potato. Still ate dinner with you, though. Sometimes love is less about impressive gestures and more about not being annoying during shared meals. As the sky deepens to velvet and the first stars prick through, the cave quiets. Pairs settle beside each other. Some subtle, some not. A couple curls under the same fur, murmuring so softly you can't even pretend to eavesdrop. You lie near the fire, warm and drowsy, heart strangely full. Even in this world of stone and survival where everything is about food, shelter and not getting eaten, somehow there's still room for affection. You look at Ona. She's holding the river stone in her palm, tracing its edge with her thumb. Not smiling, but not throwing it either. You think, maybe we've always been this way. Maybe love is as old as fire. Maybe it was never about grand moments, but small ones. A shared glance, a perfect rock, a warm place by the fire. Maybe that's all it ever needed to be. The sky above is studded with stars now, more than you can count, more than you can even comprehend. No firelight, no cities, no haze, just pure darkness overhead, pierced by pinpricks of light that feel oddly close and impossibly far at once. You lie on your back, eyes wide, trying to make sense of it all. You can name some constellations, though not like modern people would. No fancy Greek stories. Your tribe sees the great elk, the climbing bear, the river that never ends. Every pattern has a story. Every flicker has a meaning. Beside you, Ona hums again. Same tune as before, the one that sounds like water. Someone whispers, "The sky is listening." And everyone goes quiet. The kind of hush that only happens when awe takes over. You've always wondered what's up there. Is it where the spirits live? Do the stars watch your fire, your meals, your mistakes? Or are they just shiny holes in a very big ceiling? The shaman, that odd man with too many necklaces and a permanently confused expression, once said the stars were the eyes of those who came before. You didn't believe him until the night your grandfather died and a new bright star appeared. Coincidence? Maybe. But you still wave at it sometimes. And tonight, something is stirring. Not physically, not loudly, but in the way the air feels, like it's full of questions. You notice others looking up too. Someone murmurs, "She's coming." You turn. Who? The moon. You scoff a little, but then you see it. She rises slow, round, glowing like a god with secrets. You stare, slack-jawed. Every time it feels new. Every time it's a little haunting. Ona whispers, "She's full tonight. It means something." What? She shrugs. Depends who you ask. Because here's the thing. Your tribe has no universal belief. Some say the moon is a mother, watching over sleeping children. Others say she's a white-faced predator waiting for the moment to pounce. And some, especially the ones who've seen too many shadows move, think she's neither. Just a mirror. Reflecting whatever you already believe. Tonight someone starts drawing in the dirt with a stick. Circles, spirals, then hands. Lots of hands. You're not sure what it means, but the drawing feels sacred. The shaman suddenly stands and starts humming, his voice rough but steady. Others join in, low and slow, creating a sound that feels like wind through tall grass. You join too because, even if you don't believe, the sound comforts you. The fire pulses, not brighter but deeper, like it knows this moment matters. And then come the stories. Not just tales of hunts and heartbreak, but the old stories. The weird ones. The ones with flying stones, thunderbirds and creatures with too many eyes. No one interrupts. These aren't stories for fun. These are stories for understanding. You share one too, about a dream you had once, where a giant bear opened its mouth and all the rivers poured out. People nod. One man gasps. The shaman laughs, then burps. Sacred moment slightly ruined. Still, the dream is taken seriously. Because dreams in your world are messages. Maybe from the dead, maybe from the sky, maybe just from the fermented berries. Doesn't matter, they're all worth listening to. Historians still argue whether early humans practiced structured spirituality, or if their beliefs were chaotic, instinctive, unrecorded rituals passed from one fire to another. You can confirm it's both. Some nights it's ceremony, other nights it's chaos. Tonight, it's reverence. A girl drops a small token into the fire, a carved bone with a hole in it. An offering, maybe, for the moon, for her ancestors, for luck. You wonder what it feels like to know things, to be sure of the world. But maybe certainty is overrated. Maybe part of the beauty is not knowing, not needing answers. Just standing beneath the stars and feeling small, together. Later, as the moon rises higher, someone chants a phrase in a language that's only used in moments like this. You don't know all the words, but you feel them. They're thick with time. They taste like dust and ash and memory. And as the chant fades, the fire dims, and people drift off, some back to sleep, some into thought. You stay up a little longer, staring at that great white eye in the sky. You ask it quietly, "Are you real?" It doesn't answer. But the wind picks up for just a moment, ruffling your hair, stirring the trees, and cooling your skin. You take that as a maybe. You wake later than usual, wrapped in furs that smell like fire and faintly of goat. Outside, the light is harsh and angled. The sun's already high. Someone is arguing, loudly, which is both your alarm clock and the tribe's most consistent source of entertainment. You groan, sit up, and peer around. Drek and Gok, of course. You shuffle over, still half asleep. What's happening? Drek points a meat-slick finger. "He took it! The sacred bone!" Gok crosses his arms. "I was borrowing it." "That's not borrowing. That's stealing with extra steps." You sigh. You've seen this play out before. It'll end one of two ways. Gok will trip over something and lose the argument by default, or Drek will forget what he's angry about halfway through yelling. Today it's option one. Gok steps back dramatically, slips on a hide, and lands in the ash pile. Argument over. You shake your head. This, right here, is cave politics in its rawest form. No elections, no speeches, just power struggles over tools, food, and who gets the best sleeping spot. You return to the cave, grab your carving stick, and settle into your corner. As you scratch symbols into the wall, you reflect on how every tribe, every group of humans, needs a way to decide who leads and who follows, even if that decision happens entirely through loud voices and petty squabbles. Historians still debate how leadership worked in Paleolithic societies. Was it the strongest who ruled, the wisest, the loudest, the one with the best aim? You've seen all of them tried and failed in your own group. Right now, leadership is a shared burden. Owner handles the food, Drek handles hunting, the shaman handles the weird, and Gok handles morale, mostly by being a walking lesson in what not to do. You once asked the elders how decisions were made in the old days. One of them grunted, "Loudest voice wins." Another said, "Whoever doesn't die." Neither answer was comforting, but both were accurate. Just yesterday, you watched two women debate who got the last fish by playing a silent game of stare until blinking. It lasted 10 minutes. No words. Just intense blinking suppression. Winner took the fish. No hard feelings. It's not all arguments and dominance dances, though. Sometimes decisions are made by consensus, by sitting together, sharing food, and talking until the group slowly drifts into agreement. Other times it's more subtle. Someone just starts doing something, and if it works, everyone follows. You once watched a man declare himself fire chief. He immediately tripped into the fire. You all decided there would be no more fire chiefs. As you sit, Luger approaches with a puzzled look. Someone peed in the grain pit. You blink. Why? She shrugs. Drek thinks it was the shaman. The shaman says it was the spirits. You nod sagely. Classic spirits! She walks off, problem unresolved. Still, even in the absurdity, there's order. When someone's sick, the group gathers herbs. When food is short, the strongest go hunting. When someone dies, the body is treated with respect, placed in a rock tomb, marked with symbols, given gifts for the other side. It's not chaos, not really. It's a system, a messy, loud, occasionally bone-covered system. At midday, a meeting of sorts forms around the fire. No one says, "Let's have a meeting." People just start gathering, sitting, eating, talking. The vibe shifts from casual to focused. Honor brings up the nearby river. The water's been lower. Luger suggests checking upstream. Drek offers to lead. Gok offers. Nothing useful. You volunteer to go too. Not because you care about water levels, but because getting away from these arguments sounds like a nice change of pace. Before you head out, you notice the shaman piling stones in a corner, muttering to himself. "What are you doing?" you ask. "Realigning the spirit wind," he says, waving a feather. "Of course," you reply. As you walk, you think again about the politics of your tribe. There's no throne, no crown, no written rules, but there's structure. There are expectations. Social glue made of shared history, quiet gestures, and the occasional very pointed grunt. When you return, the fire is still burning. The arguments have stopped, for now. Drek and Gok are sitting together, silently eating berries. Progress. You sit too, and for a while there's peace. No yelling, no rock throwing, no politics. Just firelight, soft voices, and the quiet rhythm of a tribe figuring out how to live together without killing each other. Usually, the wind howls before the storm hits. You feel it in your bones first, the pressure, the shift, the way the trees seem to hold their breath. Somewhere in the distance, a low rumble rolls through the valley. Not thunder. Not yet. That's something heavier, closer. You stand outside the cave entrance, scanning the horizon. The sky is bruising, dark purple smears pressing down over the trees. Clouds are thick and angry. Something's coming. You call back into the cave. "Get the furs inside." Ona's already moving. Luger's packing dried meat. Gok is trying to catch a squirrel. Not helpful. You slap the side of the cave with a stick and bark his name. He drops the squirrel. "We might need that later," he mumbles. You ignore him. This storm is going to be bad. You can smell it. Inside, the fire pit is already being built higher. Drek brings in armfuls of damp wood. It'll smoke more than burn, but it's better than nothing. You help pile rocks at the base of the entrance, your tribe's version of a door. Not perfect, but it'll stop the wind from turning your cave into a wind tunnel. And then, with a single crack across the sky, it begins. Rain slams down like thrown stones. The sound is deafening, like the earth is being peeled open. Wind screams through the trees. The cave darkens instantly, lit only by the trembling fire at the center. You sit against the back wall, legs pulled in, watching water trace lines through the dirt. The smell of wet fur and smoke fills your nose. Someone sneezes. Someone else starts humming nervously. You've been through storms before. Some pass quickly, some stay for days. You don't know which this is. An hour passes, then two. Water starts pooling at the cave's edge. Then you hear it. An unfamiliar growl, not thunder, not wind. Everyone freezes. Another growl, closer this time, deep, rumbling, almost thoughtful. Then a snort. You slowly step toward the entrance, just enough to peer out. There, hulking just beyond the rock pile, is a cave bear. Its fur is soaked. Its eyes catch the lightning. Two glints of amber rage. It's looking for shelter. You realize with a sharp, cold jolt, it wants your cave. You motion for silence, your hand low and steady. No one moves. The fire crackles too loudly. You wish it would shut up. The bear steps closer. One paw, then another. You can smell it now. Wet hide, blood, and old bones. Drek whispers, "We can scare it off." You shake your head. "We'll die trying." The bear sniffs the air again, then suddenly snorts and turns. It wanders back into the storm, disappearing behind a curtain of rain. Your legs buckle slightly. No one talks for a long while. Disaster averted, for now. Later you sit with your back to the wall, wrapped in your least wet fur. The storm still screams outside. The cave is hot with bodies, wet with fear. You're exhausted, but sleep won't come. Instead, you think about how close everything always is. Survival, death, food, starvation, shelter, exposure. It's a knife edge and you're always walking it barefoot. Someone sneezes again, loud, wet. "Great, sickness!" And sure enough, the next morning, someone's coughing. Loud, chesty, miserable. You glance around. It's Luger. She's pale, eyes glassy. Her breath sounds like it's coming through soaked leaves. Ona's already making a tea from dried roots and crushed bark. It smells like regret. Luger drinks it without complaint. You sit with her, holding a warm stone to her feet. She doesn't talk much, just squeezes your hand and drifts in and out. Illness. Another kind of disaster. One you can't outrun with a spear. Over the next 2 days, more start coughing. Not everyone, just enough to worry. You sleep lightly, always listening for someone's breath going wrong. You boil everything. You chew bitter leaves that numb your tongue. The shaman insists it's a spirit sickness. Begins a ritual involving feathers, smoke, and whispered threats toward invisible demons. It doesn't help, but at least it smells nice. Then on the 3rd night, the worst happens. A scream rips through the cave. You jolt awake, grab a stick, look around wildly. It's coming from the far corner, from where little Tico sleeps. You rush over. His mother is cradling him. He's limp, burning with fever. You kneel beside her, trying to remember what the old woman once said. Something about mud-soaked ferns, ground beetles. You can't think. Your mind is ash. You send someone running for cold water. You chew bark and press it into his cheek. You whisper stories to him about the stars, about river spirits, about the time Gok fell into a goose nest and was pecked for hours. Tico chuckles. A weak, ragged sound. But it's something. And in the morning, his fever breaks. You all breathe again. Later, when the storm finally ends and the sun returns, you step outside, blinking into the light. The air smells new, clean. The ground is soaked. The trees drip like they've been crying. You survived. Again. And the bear. You find its tracks near the edge of camp. Deep, heavy, heading away. You run your fingers through one of the prints and whisper, "Not today." Because sometimes survival isn't heroic. It's just not today. The sun's out. And for once, it's not trying to kill you. You blink into the light like some ancient lizard emerging from a mud hole. After days of storm, coughing, and narrowly avoiding becoming bear snacks, it feels calm. Which, of course, is dangerous, because when things are calm, people start getting ideas. You hear clinking and muttering from the far side of the cave. Gok is working on something. This is rarely good news. You wander over, curious but already preparing for disappointment. He's surrounded by rocks, flat ones, round ones, jagged ones. He holds up what looks like a bent stick tied to a pebble with sinew. "It's a fish trap," he declares proudly. You raise an eyebrow. "That's a rock with a leash." He grins. "Innovation." You sigh. "But here's the thing. You have to try new stuff. Tools break, weather changes, mammoths get smarter. Your whole existence relies on one slippery skill, figuring it out. And you're not bad at it." You sit beside Gok and grab a nearby stick. With your flint blade, you start shaving it into a point. Not because you need another spear, but because you're trying to make a better digging stick, one that doesn't snap every time it touches a root. Baby steps. Across the camp, Drek is smashing stones together with exaggerated fury. "Look," he grunts. "It's sharper now." You hold out your hand. "Let me see." He gives it to you. It is sharper, but the handle's weird. Too heavy at one end. You flip it, tie a strip of hide around it, and hold it again. Better. Feels balanced, like it wants to be thrown. You grin. Luga sees what you're doing and joins in with her own project, a tiny pouch made from woven reeds. She says it's for storing berries, but it's way too small. You tease her. She says it's experimental storage. You both laugh. Before you know it, a mini tool fair has erupted in the center of the cave. One kid is banging hollow bones together and declaring it an alarm system. Another is trying to tie 2 rocks into a makeshift hammer. Someone else claims they've invented shoes. They haven't, it's just moss strapped to feet. But you admire the spirit. You pause and look around at this glorious chaos. This is what separates you from the wolves and the wind, your brain. That and opposable thumbs. Historians still argue whether early humans developed tools by accident or deliberate planning. From what you've seen, it's both. Sometimes you're trying to make a weapon and accidentally invent a soup spoon. Sometimes you're trying to make a spoon and accidentally invent a rock that whistles when thrown. That happened once, no one knows why. You pick up a cracked flint shard and begin carving grooves into a flat stone, not for anything practical, just to see what it feels like. The rhythm of scratch, scratch, scratch is strangely soothing. Drek joins you, adding jagged spirals beside your straight lines. Soon others join too. Someone brings pigment. Another smears mud. Before you know it, the rock is covered in a strange, beautiful mess of lines and smudges, patterns without purpose, or maybe the beginning of one. You don't say it out loud, but you wonder if this is what the first alphabet feels like. The first math, The first chart, maybe. No one knows what you're making, but it feels important. Honor steps in and says, "Looks like a mammoth stepped in a fire." Everyone laughs. You feel something warm in your chest, not from the joke, from the making, from the way a useless rock becomes a story, a blade, a bowl, a bridge. Later, Gok runs in from the stream yelling, "It works! The fish trap works!" You rush over. You see the trap bobbing in the current. There is, in fact, a fish. Possibly by accident. He raises it like a trophy. Everyone cheers. You high-five him. Well, the Paleolithic version, which is more of a low palm slap followed by finger wiggling. Progress. Dinner that night is small but proud. One fish, split 12 ways, with root soup and bragging rights on the side. Afterward, you sit by the fire with your new digging stick and your slightly less useless flint blade and think about how far you've come. You remember when you didn't even know how to hold a stone without cutting yourself. When you thought pointy equals good was the only rule. Now you know how to balance weight, how to bind better, how to shape. You're not just surviving anymore. You're inventing, and that feels different. Tomorrow someone will probably try to attach a rock to a log and call it transportation. It won't work. But give it a few centuries. You smile at the thought. Because you know, deep down in your scraped-up, calloused hands, that you're part of something ancient and unstoppable. The slow, stubborn rise of human ingenuity. You wake up to the unmistakable sound of chaos. Not danger chaos, no growls or stampedes, but the squeals, shrieks, and general destruction that only children can cause. You sit up and immediately duck, as a stick flies past your face and clatters against the cave wall. Doty, shirtless and grinning, runs by holding a branch twice his size. 3 other children chase after him, hollering war cries that sound like a mix of bird calls and coughing. You rub your temples, it's barely dawn. You shuffle to the fire, squinting through the smoke, and see that the kids have taken over most of the camp. They've dragged furs into weird shapes, built a fort out of firewood, and someone's wearing the shaman's necklace of chicken bones. You sigh. Today, it seems, is a play battle day. You settle into your spot by the fire and sip a cup of hot root water while watching them. It's part performance, part athletic event, part complete madness. Doty has somehow tied a stick to his back like a tail. Another kid is making battle screeches while spinning in a circle. You grin despite yourself, because here's the thing. They're not just being annoying, they're learning. Pretend fighting now means real surviving later. Every stick swing, every roll in the mud, every shriek that would terrify a rabbit, it's all training. One girl, little Mia, crouches behind a rock, scanning the field with unnerving focus. She waits, then jumps out and ambushes Doty with a swing of a reed stalk. He screams dramatically and drops to the ground, clutching his stomach. "Wounded," he moans. Mia plants a foot on his chest. "My territory now." You applaud, quietly. You don't want to interrupt her victory lap. Historians still argue whether early humans actively encouraged play in children or if kids were just expected to follow and survive. From what you've seen, they're left to their own wild devices, but the tribe watches, learns, nudges. Ona steps beside you. They're better fighters than Drek. Later, the game escalates. They've constructed a human palisade, 4 kids linked arm in arm, pretending to be a wall. Others charge it. Arms flail, feet trip, someone falls dramatically. Another kid pretends to be an eagle, flapping wildly above the fray with 2 feathers tucked behind their ears. Then comes the dirt bombs. You watch in slow motion as Doty hurls a fist-sized clump of wet earth. It arcs through the air, graceful, majestic, and hits Gok squarely in the back of the head. Time stops. Everyone freezes. You hold your breath. Gok turns slowly, blinking through clumps of mud. Doty raises both hands. "It was a symbolic attack." Gok nods, then smears mud across his own face and charges. The children scatter, screaming in delight. The battle is now everyone's business. Soon half the tribe is playing, or pretending they're not playing while casually throwing mud. You see Drek form an alliance with 3 toddlers. Luger builds a fort out of discarded baskets. You find yourself with a stick in hand, defending the fire pit from 2 giggling 6-year-olds. You lose, but with honor. Eventually the chaos burns itself out. Children collapse in piles of limbs and laughter. Adults return to their regular work, faces streaked with mud and pride. You help Doty to his feet, brushing leaves from his hair. You got hit 5 times. He nods. But I looked cool. Fair. You glance around. The furs are scattered. The water pouches knocked over. The shaman's necklace has become a tug-of-war prize, but everyone's smiling. No one is crying. No one is bleeding much. And you think this is how it's supposed to be. They're not just playing. They're reenacting hunts, practicing formations, learning how to fall, how to fight, how to lose, how to laugh. It's school without a teacher, war without the wounds, childhood in the rawest, purest form. Later that night, you catch Mia reenacting her ambush for the 5th time, this time using a dead beetle as a trophy. She's telling the story to a toddler who stares up at her with awe. You smile. These kids, wild, filthy, loud, they're the future. And somehow they're going to survive. Because every battle they fight today makes them stronger for the real ones waiting ahead. You're packing. Well, packing is generous. You're mostly tying things together with sinew and hoping the pile of rocks, hides, sticks and dried meat doesn't fall apart the second you pick it up. The time has come to move again. You knew it would. The cave's food supply is thinning, the stream is slowing, and something in the air says it's time. Migration. The tribe's ancient instinct. When the land dries up, when the herds move on, you follow. You always follow. Your hands are busy, your mind less so. You think about what to take, your best flint blade, a pouch of smoked roots, the carved pendant you made last moon cycle, even though it smells faintly like squirrel. You tuck it into your pouch anyway. Sentiment matters. Honor walks past carrying a roll of hide wrapped tight around tools and bones. You bringing that weird rock collection? She asks. You nod. They're lucky. They're heavy. Luck is heavy, she snorts. Nearby, Drek is wrestling a bundle of spears, half of which aren't his. Gok is yelling at a goat. The goat is not listening. The kids are oddly excited. For them, this is an adventure, a change of scenery, a chance to throw rocks at unfamiliar trees. But you feel that familiar tug. Not sadness exactly, just weight. You've lived in this cave for many moons. The walls have your scratches, your laughter, your dreams. You know which rock wobbles when you step on it, which corner stays warm longest. Leaving is necessary, but it always stings. You walk to the edge of the clearing and look back at the entrance one last time. The soot stains, the old footprints, the wall art, your spiral, still there. You press your fingers to the rock, whisper goodbye. Then you shoulder your pack and begin walking. The first steps are the hardest. The land opens up ahead, a vast plain stitched with trees and wind. The sun is behind you. The river, your old river, fades into the background. The new path is ahead. The walk is long, days pass, feet blister, backs ache, spirits rise and fall like the hills you cross. At night, you huddle together under the stars, furs pulled tight, watching the sky like it might give you a sign. And during the day you march, over stones, across streams, through forests that hum with unfamiliar noises. One morning you stop to rest in a meadow. Tall grass waves around you like water. The children roll through it, whooping with joy. Mia yells, "It's like swimming, but less wet." You lie back, staring up at the clouds. A hawk circles above. The breeze is soft. For a moment, everything feels still. Then you feel it. Buzzing. A high-pitched hum, then a pinch, then another. You sit up fast. Mosquitoes. The prehistoric kind. Big, aggressive, the size of a small berry, and everywhere. You start flailing. Everyone else is too. The entire tribe looks like a group of very bad dancers having a shared nervous breakdown. Someone yells, "Smoke! Make smoke!" Fire is your only hope. You dig out the flint and dried bark. Drek throws a bundle of moss on top. It catches. Thick grey smoke curls up and spreads across the meadow. The mosquitoes scatter, slightly. You accept that you are now 10% mosquito bites, possibly more. Later, you set up camp under a cluster of trees. There's a stream nearby, clear, cold, blessedly mosquito-free. You drink deeply, splash your face, and finally breathe. You made it another day. That night, as the tribe gathers around the fire, someone starts telling the story of your journey. How Gok tried to ride the goat. How Mia claimed a tree as her personal fortress. How the mosquitoes nearly won. You laugh, you all do. Because yes, the journey was hard, but you're here. You look around. The land is different. The trees are new. The rocks unfamiliar, but your people the same. And that means everything. This place will become a home, just like the last one did. Because wherever you go, your tribe, your laughter, your fire, that's home. You wake to stillness. No arguments, no stampedes, no Drek yelling about someone stealing his spear again. Just the soft, early rustle of the new clearing, the whisper of leaves above, the gentle trickle of water nearby, the quiet creak of furs as people begin to stir. Your eyes open slowly. The world is painted in pale blue light, and you're surrounded by familiar shapes. Curled bodies, stacked bundles of tools, yesterday's fire now reduced to glowing coals. You sit up, stretch, and feel the ache of the journey still lingering in your spine. It's the good kind of sore, the kind that says you moved forward. You moved. Outside, the sun hasn't broken the tree line yet. You step away from the group, ducking under low branches, feet soft in the moss. You find the stream, crouch and splash cold water on your face. It stings a little, wakes you more than any bark tea ever could. This new place, it smells different, richer, wetter. There are mushrooms clinging to tree roots, animal tracks you can't quite name, and unfamiliar birds calling to each other in a language you don't speak but almost understand. You pick up a stick and start poking around. That's what you do when you're in a new place. Poke, tap, smell, listen. This is exploration in its purest form. Back at camp, others begin to rise. The shaman does his morning ritual, muttering to a beetle and tossing ash in the air. You nod at him. He nods back solemnly, the beetle still crawling on his finger like it's the most important creature on earth. Ona's already boiling something in a new clay pot she found. She gestures for you to sit. You do. The brew smells like roots and dirt and faint hope. Around the fire, someone begins to hum. Luga, maybe. Others join in. It's not a song with words, just sound, layered in comfort. You sip the tea. It burns a little, warms a lot. After a while, Gok arrives, dragging a log twice his size and announcing, "This will be our new seat of council." Everyone stares. The log is crooked, full of bugs, and already cracking. You all cheer anyway, because why not? Someone sets up the first new fire pit. Someone else builds a rock ring around it. Children run in circles, declaring war on invisible invaders. You see Mia tying reeds into a long rope. For what? Unknown. But it'll be useful. Eventually. Later in the day, you start carving again. A new stone, a new set of markings, the same hands. You scratch your spiral onto the flat surface, your mark, your story, your signature. Ona adds a crescent. Drek draws what might be a mammoth or a large, confused potato. Either way, it's his. And one by one, others join in. A shared canvas, a shared record. The sun climbs, the camp buzzes with life, fire crackles, meat sizzles, someone trips over a tree root and curses in a language that's mostly grunts and eyebrow movement. You smile. You've survived storms, bears, fevers, migrations and mosquito swarms the size of pine cones. And through it all, you've built something more than tools and fire. You've built memory, connection, home. You listen, you laugh, you speak. And when the fire burns low and the night air cools your skin, you lie down on your fur, the stars peeking between branches above. You're not afraid of the dark anymore. You've lit too many fires. You've survived too many nights. And now it's time to sleep. Wind down, 300 words. You close your eyes and breathe in slowly. The fire crackles somewhere nearby, steady and soft, like an old friend whispering without words. The moss beneath you is cool. The firs are warm. The air is filled with the scent of wood smoke, crushed leaves, and something faintly sweet. Maybe from the flowers that only open after dark. You listen to the gentle rhythm of night. The call of a distant owl. The chirp of tiny insects tucked under roots. The quiet sigh of wind slipping between trees. Each sound wraps around you, comforting, unthreatening. Like the earth itself is breathing beside you. You let yourself sink deeper, back into the quiet rhythm of a simpler world. No clocks, no screens, just your body, the sky, and the beating of your heart slowing with each moment. The stars above blink softly through branches as if winking good night. The moon, half hidden, floats silently, and in the hush of this ancient stillness you feel it again, that deep knowing. You are part of something old, older than language, older than maps, A long, unbroken line of lives, dreams and fires that carried us here. Let the weight of your thoughts drift away like smoke. Let your breath fall gently, evenly. There is no rush. There is no danger. Only this moment, this breath, this dream. Sleep now, wanderer of the old world. You've earned your rest. End of script. Sweet dreams.